Good morning, sixth grade. I did have this plan for yesterday and I did read it yesterday, but apparently my sound did not even want to show up. So therefore I have to read it again. This is why it's a little late. Today is May 4th, so may the 4th be with you. Anyway, okay. Um if you remember, where we left off was, I had it yesterday and now I don't remember. Um Oh yeah, I was just kind of reviewing with you all about the time period it was, so you don't get all weirded out by things. So this is the 40s. It's weird for girls or boys to even have sex before they're married. It's looked down upon. It's like they don't talk about it until they're married. It's weird to be kissing before they're married. I mean, and we'll find out later on in this, but she hasn't even kissed Peter on the mouth. They've only kissed each other on the cheek. So therefore, she's not even thinking too much on sex or anything like that. She just wants to talk to him and have that kind of relationship with him. Now, as we read, it will kind of talk about how she talks to her dad and things like that, and he just says, just be careful and be smart. But again, I mean, that's something that any father will tell his daughter because he just cares about her. It's not that he doesn't think that he thinks that they're going to be having sex. It has nothing to do with that. It just means that a boy and a girl alone together is not necessarily the wisest idea. I mean, like, even nowadays, you shouldn't be alone with a boy. You shouldn't be alone with a girl. Like, that is not okay. So just remember, this is the 40s. This is the time when holding hands before you're engaged or even before you're spoken upon, like being dating, is kind of frowned upon. Kissing somebody before you're engaged is shocking. And so Anne and Peter are just kissing each other's cheeks. That's it. All right. So we're going to start on Thursday, the 27th of April, 1944. Dear Kitty, Mrs. Van Daan was in such a bad mood this morning. Nothing but complaints. First, there was her cold, and she can't get any lozenges, and so much nose blowing is unendurable. Next, it's the sun's not shining, that the invasion doesn't come, that we can't look out the windows, etc., etc. We all had to laugh at her, and she was sporting enough to join in. At the moment, I'm reading The Emperor Charles V, written by a professor of Göttingen University. He worked at the book for 40 years. I read 50 pages in 5 days. It's impossible to do more. The book has 598 pages, so you now can work out how long it will take me. And there is a second volume to follow, but very interesting. What doesn't a schoolgirl get to know in a single day take me? For example, first I translated a piece from Dutch into English about Nelson's last battle. After that, I went through some more of Peter the Great's war against Norway, 1700 to 1721, Charles XII, Augustus the Strong, Stanislavs Likinski, Mazeppa, von Goes, Brandenburg, Pomerania, and Denmark, plus the usual dates. After that, I landed up in Brazil, read about Bahia, tobacco, the abundance of coffee, and the 1.5 million inhabitants of Rio de Janeiro, of Pernambuco, and Sao Paulo, not forgetting the river Amazon, about Negroes, mulattoes, mezzos, whites, more than 50% of the population being illiterate, and the malaria. As there was still some time left, I quickly ran through a family tree. Jan the Elder, William Lodwick, Ernst Casimir the First, Hendrik Casimir the First, right up to the little Marguerite Francisca, born in 1943 in Ottawa. 12 o'clock in the attic, I continued my program with the history of the church. Phew! Till 1 o'clock. Just after 2, the poor child sat working. Again, this time studying narrow and broad-nosed monkeys, Kitty, Tell me quickly how many toes a hippopotamus has." Then followed the Bible, Noah the ark, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. After that, Charles V. Then, with Peter the Colonel, in English by Thackeray. Heard my French verbs and then compared the Mississippi with the Missouri. I still got a cold and have given it to Margot as well as to Mummy and Daddy, as long as Peter doesn't get it. He called me his El Dorado and wanted a kiss. Of course I couldn't. Funny boy. But still, he's a darling. Enough for today. Goodbye. Yours, Anne. Friday, 28th, April 1944. Dear Kitty, I have never forgotten my dream about Peter Wessel. See beginning of January. If I think of it, I can still feel his cheek against mine now, and recall that lovely feeling that made everything good. Sometimes I have had the same feeling here with Peter, but never so much in extent, until yesterday, when we were as usual sitting on the divan, our arms around each other's waist. Then suddenly the ordinary Anne slipped away and a second Anne took her place. A second Anne who is not reckless and jocular, but one who just wants to love and be gentle. I sat pressed closely against him and felt a wave of emotion come over me. Tears sprang into my eyes. The left one trickled down his dungarees, the right one down my nose and fell onto his dungarees. Did he notice? He made no move or sign to show that he did. I wonder if he feels the same way as I do. He hardly said a word. Does he know that he has two Annes before him? These questions must remain unanswered. At 8:30, I stood up and went to the window where we always say goodbye. I was still trembling. I was still Anne number 2. He came towards me. I flung my arms around his neck and gave him a kiss on his left cheek, and was about to kiss the other cheek when my lips met his and we pressed them together. In a whirl, we were clasped in each other's arms again and again, never to leave off. Oh, Peter does so need tenderness. For the first time in his life, he has discovered a girl, has seen for the first time that even the most irritating girls have another side to them, that they have hearts and can be different different when you are alone with them. For the first time in his life, he has given of himself, and having never had a boy or girlfriend in his life before, shown his real self. Now we have found each other. For the matter, I didn't know him either, like him having never had a trusted friend, and this is what it has come to. Once more, there is a question which gives me no peace. Is it right? Is it right that I should have yielded so soon, that I am so ardent, just as ardent and eager as Peter himself? May I, a girl, let myself go to this extent? There is but one answer. I have longed so much for, and so longed for. I am so lonely, and now I have found consolation. In the mornings, we just have behaved in an ordinary way. In the afternoons, more or less so, except just occasionally. But in the evenings, the suppressed longings of the whole day, the happiness and blissful memories of all the previous occasions come to the surface, and we only think of each other. Every evening after the last kiss, I would like to dash away, not to look into his eyes any more. Away, away, alone in the darkness. And what do I have to face when I reach the bottom of the staircase? Bright lights, questions, and laughter. I have to swallow it all and not show a thing. My heart still feels too much. I can't get over a shock such as I received yesterday all at once. The Anne who is gentle shows herself too little anyway, and therefore will not allow herself to be suddenly driven into the background. Peter has touched my emotions more deeply than anyone has ever done before, except in my dreams. Peter has taken possession of me and turned me inside out. Surely it goes without saying that anyone would require a rest and a little while to recover from such an upheaval. Oh, Peter, what have you done to me? What do you want of me? Where will this lead us? Oh, now I understand, Eli. Now that I am going through this myself, now I understand her doubt. If I were older and this myself, if I were older and he should ask me to marry him, what should I answer? And be honest, you would not be able to marry him, but yet it would be hard to let him go. Peter hasn't enough character, yet not enough willpower, too little courage and strength. He is still a child in his heart and of hearts. He is no older than I am. He is only searching for tranquility and happiness. Am I only 14? Am I really still a silly little schoolgirl? Am I really so inexperienced about everything? I have more experience than most. I've been through things that hardly anyone of my age has undergone. I am afraid of myself. I am afraid that in my longing I am giving myself too quickly. How later on can it ever go right with other boys? Oh, it is so difficult, always battling with one's heart and reason. In its own way, each will speak, but do I know for certain that I have chosen the right time? Yours, Anne. Tuesday, 2nd May, 1944. Dear Kitty, on Saturday evening I asked Peter whether he thought I ought to tell Daddy a bit about us. When we discussed it a little, he came to the conclusion that I should. I was glad, for it shows that he's an honest boy. As soon as I got downstairs, I went off with Daddy to get some water, and while we were on the stairs, I said, Daddy, I expect you've gathered that when we're together, Peter and I don't sit miles apart. Do you think it's wrong? Daddy didn't reply immediately. Then he said, No, I don't think it's wrong, but you must be careful, Anne. You're in such a confined space here. When we went upstairs, he said something else on the same lines. On Sunday morning, he called me to him and said, Anne, I have thought more about what you said. I felt scared already. It's not really very right here in this house. I thought that you were just pals. Is Peter in love? Oh, of course not, I replied. You know that I understand both of you, but you must be the one to hold back. Don't go upstairs so often. Don't encourage him more than you can help. It is the man who is always the active one in these things. The woman can hold him back. It is quite different under normal circumstances. When you are free, you see other boys and girls. You can get away sometimes, play games and do all kinds of other things. But here, if you're together a lot and you want to get away, you can't. You see each other every hour of the day, in fact, all the time. Be careful, Anne, and don't think it too seriously. I don't, Daddy, but Peter is a decent boy, really a nice boy. Yes, but he is not a strong character. He can be easily influenced for good, but also for bad. I hope for his sake that his good side will remain uppermost, because by nature, that is how he is. We talked on for a bit and agreed that Daddy should talk to him too. On Sunday morning in the attic, he asked, And have you talked to your father, Anne? Yes, I replied. I'll tell you about it. Daddy doesn't think it's bad, but he says that here, where we're so close together all the time, clashes may easily arise. But we agreed, didn't we, never to quarrel, and I'm determined to stick to it. So will I, Peter, but Daddy didn't think that it was like this. He just thought we were pals. Do you think that we still can be? I can. What about you? Me too. I told Daddy that I trusted you, that I do trust you, Peter, just as much as I trust Daddy. And I believe you to be worthy of it. You are, aren't you, Peter? I hope so. He was very shy and rather red in the face. I believe in you, Peter, I went on. I believe that you have good qualities and that you'll get on in the world. After that, we talked about other things. Later, I said, if we come out of here, I know quite well that you won't bother about me any more. He flared right up. That's not true, Anne. Oh, no, I won't let you think that of me. Then I was called away. Daddy has talked to him. He told me about it today. Your father thought that the friendship might develop into love sooner or later, he said. But I replied that we would keep a check on ourselves. Daddy doesn't want me to go upstairs so much in the evenings now. But I don't want that, not only because I like being with Peter. I have told him that I trust him. I do trust him, and I want to show him that I do, which can't happen if I stay downstairs through lack of trust. No, I'm going. In the meantime, the Dussel drama has righted itself again. At supper on Saturday evening, he apologized in beautiful Dutch. Van Daan was nice about it straight away. It must have taken Dussel a whole day to learn that little lesson off by heart. Sunday, his birthday passed peacefully. We gave him a bottle of good 1919 wine from the Van Dans, who could give their present now after all, a bottle of piccalilli, and a packet of razor blades, a jar of lemon jam from Kraler, a book, Little Martin from Miep, and a plant from Eli. He treated each one of us to an egg. Yours, Anne. Wednesday, 3rd May 1944. Dear Kitty, first, just the news of the week. We're having a holiday from politics. There's nothing, absolutely nothing to announce. I, too, am gradually beginning to believe that the invasion will come. After all, they can't let the Russians clear up everything. For that matter, they're not doing anything either at the moment. Mr. Kupius comes to the office every morning, again now. He's got a new spring for Peter's divan, so Peter will have to do some upholstering, about which, quite understandably, he doesn't feel a bit happy. Have I told you that Bosch has disappeared? Simply vanished. We haven't seen a sign of her since Thursday of last week. I expect she's already in the cat's heaven, while some animal lover is enjoying a succulent meal from her. Perhaps some little girl will be given a fur cap out of her skin. Peter is very sad about it. Since Saturday, we've changed over and have lunch at 11:30 in the morning, so we have to last out with one cupful of porridge. This saves us a meal. Vegetables are still very difficult to obtain. We had rotten boiled lettuce this afternoon. Ordinary lettuce, spinach, and boiled lettuce. There's nothing else. With these, we eat rotten potatoes. So it's a delicious combination. As you can easily imagine, we often ask ourselves here despairingly, what is the use of the war? Why can't people live peacefully together? Why all this destruction? The question is very understandable, but no one has found a satisfactory answer to it so far. Yes, why do they make still more gigantic planes, still heavier bombs, and at the same time prefabricated houses for reconstruction? Why should millions be spent daily on the war, and yet there's not a penny available for medical services, artists, or for poor people? Why do some people have to starve while there are surpluses rotting in other parts of the world? Oh, why are people so crazy? I don't believe that the big men, the politicians, and the capitalists alone are guilty of the war. Oh no, the little man is just as guilty. Otherwise, the people of the world would have risen in revolt long ago. There's in people simply an urge to destroy, an urge to kill, to murder and rage, and until all mankind, without exception, undergoes a great change, wars will be waged. Everything that has been built up, cultivated, and grown will be destroyed and disfigured, after which mankind will have to begin all over again. I have often been downcast, but I never in despair. I regard our hiding as a dangerous adventure, romantic and interesting at the same time. In my diary, I treat all the privations as amusing. I have made up my mind now to lead a different life from other girls, and later on, different from ordinary housewives. My start has been so very full of interest, and that is the sole reason why I have to laugh at the humorous side of the most dangerous moments. I am young, and I possess many varied qualities. I am young and strong, and am living a great adventure. I am still in the midst of it, and can't grumble the whole day long. I have been given a lot of happy nature, a great deal of cheerfulness and strength. Every day I feel that I am developing inwardly, that the liberation is drawing nearer, and how beautiful nature is, how good the people are about me, how interesting this adventure is. Why then should I be in despair? Yours, Anne. Friday, 5th May, 1944. Dear Kitty, Daddy is not pleased with me. He thought that after our talk on Sunday, I automatically wouldn't go upstairs every evening. It was bad enough talking about it. Why must he make it so unpleasant now? I shall talk to him today. Margot has given me some good advice, so listen, this is roughly what I want to say. I believe, Daddy, that you expect a declaration from me, so I will give it to you. You are disappointed in me, as you had expected more reserve from me, and I suppose you want me to, just as a 14-year-old should be, But that's where you're mistaken. Since we've been here from July 1942 until a few weeks ago, I can assure you that I haven't had any easy time. If you only knew how I cried in the evenings, how unhappy I was, and how lonely I felt, then you would understand that I want to go upstairs. I have now reached the stage that I can live entirely on my own, without Mummy's support or anyone else's for that matter. But it hasn't just happened in a night. It's been a bitter, hard struggle, and I've shed many a tear. Before I became as independent as I am now, you can laugh at me and not believe me, but that can't harm me. I know that I'm a separate individual, and I don't feel in the least bit responsible to you, to any of you. I am only telling you this because I thought that otherwise you might think that I was underhand. But I don't have to give an account of my deeds to anyone but myself. When I was in difficulties, you all closed your eyes and stopped up your ears and didn't help me. On the contrary, I received nothing but warnings not to be so boisterous. I was only boisterous so as not to be miserable all the time. I was reckless so as not to hear that persistent voice within me continually. I played a comedy for a year and a half, day in, day out. I never grumbled, never lost my cue, nothing like that. And now the battle is over. I have won. I am independent both in mind and body. I don't need a mother anymore, for all this conflict has made me strong. And now that I am on top of it, now that I know that I've fought the battle, now I want to be able to go on in my life the way that I think is right. You can't and mustn't regard me as 14, for all these troubles have made me older. I shall not be sorry for what I have done, but shall act as I think I can. You can't coax me into not going upstairs either. You forbid it, or you trust me through thick and thin, but then leave me in peace as well. Yours, Anne. Saturday, 6th May 1944. Dear Kitty, I put a letter in which I wrote that what I explained to you yesterday in Daddy's pocket before supper yesterday. After reading it, he was, according to Margot, very upset for the rest of the evening. I was upstairs doing the dishes. Poor Pym, I might have known what the effect of such an epistle would be. He is so sensitive. I immediately told Peter not to ask or say anything more. Pym hasn't said any more about it to me. Is that yet in store, I wonder? Here, everything is going on more or less normally again. What they tell us about the prices and the people outside is almost unbelievable. Half a pound of tea costs 350 florins. A pound of coffee is 80 florins. Butter, 35 florins per pound. An egg is 1 and 45 florin. People say 14 florins for an ounce of Bulgarian tobacco. Everyone deals in the black market. Every errand boy has something to offer. Our baker's boy got hold of some sewing silk for 9/10 of a florin for a thin little skein. The milkman manages to get clandestine ration cards. The undertaker delivers the cheese. Burglaries, murders, and theft go on daily. The police and night watch join in just as strenuously as the professionals. Everyone wants something in their empty stomachs, and because wage increases are forbidden, the people simply have to swindle. The police are continually on the go, tracing girls of 15, 16, 17, and older who are reported missing every day. Yours, Anne. And we're going to stop there. It looks like Moulin dug herself, and it actually looks like she's right here. It's kind of funny. All right, anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye!